Oh yeah?
You know? How cool is it to get to live like that? And we know how lucky we are. We know. This farm has been in my mom's family for 4 generations.
Wow.
So it's her grandparents.
You don't hear so much of that kind of stuff going on anymore. You know, a lot of people are just getting off their land and moving away and stuff like that.
I'm trying real hard to keep it one more generation. There's 2 nephews. I don't think the youngest one of those wants it. I have a niece who's actually studying. You know, she was Camp Mitchell. She was the organic gardening coordinator down there.
Okay.
So, I mean, there's some real possibilities.
Yeah. Okay.
Although she goes to Columbia, I'm not sure why.
Yeah.
Northwest Arkansas would catch
Okay.
her, but maybe. We'll go on in here. I guess this will be easy. This is where I do my bee stuff and my wood shop. And it's a mess. It really is. So whenever there's a box of something, it winds up in here, and I haven't had a chance to really go through and build anything new in a long time. So we're still kind of springing back from a big bunch of, hey, let's move everything into the shop phase. And then of course, you can't really be a farmer without a shop. You know what I mean?
Definitely. Yeah.
So
definitely.
Farming's a lot more than just planting stuff.
Absolutely.
I can show you what I mean. And here's my germination room. That's the fall garden.
Okay.
Right.
Got your seeds started up in here under lights, and and what's this? What do you keep? What do you keep this room at?
Sheets. It's at 70 now.
Okay.
It needs to be below 80 to 75 to 80.
And that let all this heat in here.
Or 75 to 70 to get optimal germination on lettuce. Good lettuce. Everything in the garden
They
started
started
to germinate. We
about
had to get it out of the dining room.
Yeah.
So it's 70 right now, but it's cloudy.
Yeah.
It's too hot in the high tunnels, so that's why they look like they look. Chickens here. We'll do the garden. So we don't do anything at all with the high tunnels in the summertime. Nothing. I'm gonna take the ends off. I had raised beds in there. We're gonna pull all that out. It turns out that the high tunnels plus raised beds equals dry out. The beds dry out way faster than we want them to.
Than they would if they were in ground?
If they were in ground.
Okay.
And we also have a harder time managing grass. Grass management. I mean, we have beautiful Bermuda grass out here. And there is nothing harder to eradicate from a garden than
my
Bermuda
goodness.
grass.
I've ranted and raved on my channel already on the horrors of Bermuda grass.
You just can't get rid of the stuff. And even when we get over here, I've managed to keep the Bermuda grass at check right at the gate, but that just makes the fescue and crabgrass that much harder to deal with.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can see what happens. Now, ordinarily, I mean, yesterday was pick day, so all the zinnias and all of the asters and all of that stuff went to market today.
Man, zinnias are such a great summer flower.
They're
awesome. They bloom forever.
If you cut them right, you get the long stems.
Okay.
Yeah. And all that. And here we are in the middle of summer. I just fought off a big round of harlequin bugs out of that kale. And you can see what happens to us with squash. And we keep dipel around the base of the squash plants because the vine borers start as worm larvae and dipel is BT, right? So that's on the OMRI.
Okay. But you guys aren't certified, right?
No.
Okay.
We're not.
Did you find that the cost-benefit ratio just wasn't really quite right for that for you guys?
You know, it's not really that. Well, there's a couple of things. It might. I don't think. Nobody out here, let's put it this way, is going to pay the premium for organic certification so they can put Velveeta on their organically certified broccoli. I eat this stuff.
I think that's a testament enough, you know.
Feed it to my kids, or feed it to the family. Feed it to my mom. We eat it. This is also the time of year where it's not just vine borers, but just the squash bugs are so hard to kill. There's butternut down there, and we wind up with the powder mildew and that. Serenade, I mean, there's products I could use on the OMRI, but the bottom line is these are all going to ripen here within the next couple of 3 weeks for the fall. I'll pull them out. I'll get what we get, and life will be good, you know, and we'll put them on, up in the cold room, the semi-cold room. We don't have a real cold room yet, but we're getting one. That's the next big life-changing ad for us out here is a cold room.
Yeah.
As it is now, we have to pick everything on Friday. Thursday, we can start Thursday night with cucumbers and some flowers and that. Yeah. And then turn the thermostat in the house down really low.
But you've got to you basically just have to pick it and then get it right to market. Yep.
Whereas with a cold room, you pick as you go. It honestly allows you to take a lot better care of your crops because you're not just picking, but you're picking and weeding and doing a lot of your crop work and your hands-on pruning and that sort of stuff. Whereas when you got to get through this and pick 10 pounds of kale so you can move on to pick 10 pounds of okra, you know, and 20 pounds of eggplant and all that business, you just can't, you can't take care of any plants, and everything kind of winds up getting out of control. You know, that's the big life-changing thing that allowed them to do what they do. Yeah. Because this is a lot to take care of, and it's a lot to keep grass out of. You know, I mean, our number one gardening tool is a string trimmer. You know, and we use landscape fabric and lots of it. Now, we're gonna start landscape fabricing the aisles. I thought maybe we would grow clover in the aisles and just keep it mulching and doing that. We can't kill the grass long enough. Yeah. But, I mean, this all gets tilled. And by July, I am mowing the aisles, and where you're standing is typically tulips. There's a bunch of tulip bulbs in here. And look at it now. I mean, you'd never know that any of that was here. This, even at market this year, was spinach. This was purple potato. The purple potatoes that I'm selling at market right now came out of an aisle that's now undergrown here. Yeah. I'm going to till this week. When you look at this, we're moving the herbs this year. I've got a patch of chives and some thyme and some oregano and some sage there. I'll just dig that up and move it, and it'll be fine. Yeah. The cherry tomatoes are all dead, except for a few, which are really starting. They're going to come back. So we'll have cherry tomatoes again for the fall. But yeah, 300 feet of tomatoes, they all flushed at one time. We were taking 7 flats to market and selling them all. Wow. And that lasted for about 3 weeks. And they just blighted out and were done. Even the indeterminates were just done. Oh yeah. And that's, I mean, and everybody at market's the same way. It's been a really strange year. It's always a strange year for some reason. Then coming on back, this is where those gorgeous red shishitos come from. Oh yeah. Here, did you have one of those?
I have not had one of those. Is this a sweet pepper?
Yeah. You really should have one of these. This is a treat.
Oh yeah. Wow, yeah.
Isn't that awesome?
It's just as sweet as one of those big old bell peppers.
Except it's not as fleshy.
Yeah.
So when you cook it, it doesn't add water to like your scrambled eggs.
Yeah, it's more of a dry pepper.
Yep.
That's great.
But we're starting to come back on green beans. We had green beans last week and this week, and we'll have more next week. And coming soon to a plate near you, and then all this, of course, all the sunflowers were along the back, and those were even succession planted. Oh. But they're gone. I think probably this week will be the last. Sweet potatoes. Those are full of sweet potatoes. We will have a lot. The asters are really pretty. And the rest of this is all pumpkins. It just fills up. And that's where the original... We're always trying to think ahead. The original potatoes, the reds and whites that came out of there, are in bins. and that's all pumpkins. They're all pie pumpkins. They won't be terribly big now if you can see them at all. They'll be green.
Oh yeah. Well, they form such a nice cover on the ground.
They're self-mulching if you're
Yeah.
able to get a good cover.
This is what a no pesticide, no spray, or little spray garden looks like this time of year. They all look like this. You know?
Yeah, in this region, I mean, the weed and the pest pressure in this part of the country is just, it's so
This time
intense.
of year, it gets so bad
Yeah.
that you basically kind of, well, and again, I've got tillage issues that I'm trying to prep. Like this will look like $1 million. And I really don't mind all the grass. There's really no better mulch than grass clippings. Everything needed to grow grass can be found in grass. So, you know, all of that will turn into, it really improves. This was super heavy clay soil, you know, when we started with it. And it's still, you can still see the hard pan under there. It's still that way. But
Yeah, it's a lot like what we've got.
by dealing, yeah, it's that Ozark, you know, hilltop. The only reason it's here is because it's sticky.
Yeah.
It's the only reason there's anything up here.
Uh-huh.
So all we can do is just take this little box and just keep improving it. You know, I mean, we've read so much about no-till, and that we may eventually get to that.
Yeah.
But, you know, I mean, right now, that's what's left of the best collards in the world. Earlier this year,
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and pull this row cover off, and then we'll back in here with the Land Pride tiller and till all of this, you know, just back up over it and pull the tiller out and maybe till back and forth some.
You sell some of your produce though to the restaurant.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, so what's that relationship like? Like, are they expecting a certain amount of this?
I
Like,
don't-
are they making requests from you, or are you just telling them what's available and they're just saying, I'll take some of that?
It's a little bit of both.
Okay.
We're still trying, Kurt, I mean, that's what I love about dealing with him, man, is we're trying to figure out what we can do.
Okay.
And Kurt's really flexible when
Yeah.
something doesn't pan, and I planted something and it
So he
just
understands
didn't go.
he understands this isn't like British Columbia where they can just like lay out a bed of something and have it pop up and grow reliably every time.
Right. In fact, we have some of the British Columbia people on Facebook forum, you know, like a successful market gardener or whatever.
Yeah.
The Canadians don't even they can't understand why anybody would transplant a beet. Are you insane? You know, and we're like, you cannot germinate a beet in the field right now.
Yeah.
It cannot be done
Yeah.
if you're not
The
transplanting.
challenges here are just so unique.
And pervasive. I mean, even the Indians didn't settle here, really. You know what I mean? My family.
Most of the, from my
morons.
understanding, yeah, the Indians that settled most of the Ozarks were like little hunter-gatherer groups that lived in caves.
Now, when we find arrowheads and stuff like that from all the time, but at the time, this was tall grass prairie. They were following buffalo.
Yeah.
They were not living here.
Yeah, kind of a nomadic
You won't find
existence.
permanent settlements anywhere close to here. So anyway, and then here's the hen house. Here's the sawmill. The hen house was sided entirely off a cedar that we cut off the farm.
Oh, wow. Okay, so you got a little LT10 here,
Yep.
cutting your cedar logs up.
Yep. And we're going to do some oak, and we're going to get this back going again as soon as the weather cools off.
Okay.
Right now, we can't afford the tick fever. We do everything we do with a minimal of illness and a minimum of discomfort. So everything in its season,
Yeah.
and that season's coming up.
So you built this from the ground up.
Yes. I laid the
Cinder
cinder
block
blocks
foundation.
with it's post frame with cedar posts.
Okay.
I'd show you inside, but it's a mess.
Well, that's a chicken house for you.
There used to be back here. This is a funny Ozark story. In here, the front door to it was right in here somewhere. There was a giant chicken coop. It was about this tall, and it spread out. And what it really was a double burner still. That they used to come up the driveway you just came up. They would loop right around here. This is about as late as the 60s. and would come right through and drive through, and they'd load them up and drive right down the back side of that driveway, and they hauled liquor out of this place all the way to Texarkana.
Oh my goodness.
My grandmother found out about it, and she ran them off. They broke everything they had, glass in the front yard, and shoved a fence post down the well and left.
Wow.
And that was probably in the late 60s, and then that place up front sat empty for a long time. Those are the jugs left from the moonshiners.
Oh, wow.
We have several around. We've been giving away to friends who come out. They used to get to go away with a moonshine jug. So
this is pretty idyllic back here. You wouldn't think you're on a little mountain up here.
No, it's kind of neat the way this lays out. This is still where the world makes sense to me.
So what was the transition like? What were you working full time and raising stuff here at the same time? And was there like a tipping point, or were you able to like save up in order to make a clean break?
I got super lucky to the point of this might even sound foul. I did a bunch of different things and tried to work it out. That's the long story short. His dad passed away, and it was either then or never, because I am 51 years old and I feel every year of it some days. Would I borrow money to do this? No. If I didn't do what I'm doing, my mom and 2 sisters would have wound up selling this place.
You doing this is keeping the land in the family.
Yes. It keeps the estate here so that we have options with the family down the road. True wealth in a family or anywhere is never garnered in one generation. That is so rare in the American system, and it's gotten rarer. If you ever want your children or your legacy to be real wealth, you gotta save land. You have to. No matter where it is. Do I wish this were closer to a Pizza Hut? Yeah. A farm is an asset, and a bunch of land is a liability. A farm pays. A farm does something. A farm generates revenue. And a farm that doesn't generate revenue is a liability. It's just a bunch of land. If you're being frugal and trying to set things up that last forever, or that can proceed from one generation to the other, it needs to be a farm. With that little garden over there, for the first time in 40 years, money goes up the hill and product goes down the hill. That is turning the corner between something being a liability and something being an asset. It's huge and it's hard to do. And when you can do that, then quit your job.
Yeah.
When you're at that point, but you cannot quit your job for a liability. You can quit your job for an asset, because your job is an asset. Don't wait till you're too old and infirm to make it happen. You've got to get out there when you're young, and you've got the energy and the at least the ability to bullshit yourself into the idea that it's going to work. Because without that, you can't make bad soil good soil. You can't do anything without a tremendous amount of energy.
Yeah.
That's the next thing, is your own physical condition. You have to be able to work with whatever you have. If you can afford all the implements and the big shiny tractor, even if you can afford a big shiny tractor, by the way, don't buy one. Buy used, buy cheap. What my grandpa used to say is squeeze every nickel till the buffalo shits. You've got to do all those things.
Yeah.
To make it work. And having a grandpa, one of my largest assets was having a Depression era grandpa.
Oh yeah. Oh wow, you're so thin here. You got the rock right there. It's just the bedrock.
There is no soil.
Sticking right out of the ground.
Yeah, all this here, and that's what the persimmons are. All this here, where the persimmons are, that's our field.
So the persimmons are breaking up the bedrock and trying to build a soil layer there.
That's what they're doing.
Wow.
That's exactly what they're doing. That's why you hate to just brush hog them down.
Yeah.
But at some point you have to, or you just want to, and you want to do it while they're doing that.
Because in 2 years they're going to be 1.5 inches thick.
And then you've got stobs.
Yep.
And your tractor tires will look like mine.
Uh-huh.
Which is
exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, yeah, I think what you're saying is something a lot of, especially young farmers who are trying to get into farming, are experiencing is that if somebody had told their dad or their grandpa to hang on to that acreage and keep it in the family, you know, that would have given them a head start that a lot of them are really wishing that they had.
yes.
You know, it's like the best time to start farming is two generations ago.
Right. I love that saying. You know, the best time, the first best time to plant an oak tree is
20 years ago.
20 years ago.
Yeah.
The second best time is right now. But so you have to go no matter how old you are.
Oh,
Do
yeah.
it while you're young.
Yeah. It's like once that switch flips in your mind, you got to do that.
I've had to cook this garden up just to be able to afford to live here. If not, I would have been on the road to and from Fort Smith to sit in a cubicle and do something I hated for 60 hours a week, and add to that another 20 hours on the road. And at the end of the day, all you're doing is coming out here to mow the yard on the weekends, and that's all you got.